So I'm Cyndi Freeman. I am the founder of Stories of New York Seniors. We're an organization that creates a space for seniors to share stories with each other. And we want to encourage them to tell stories not just with their friends here or wherever we work, but also take those stories and share them with their families. Because we think that when it comes to seniors, their stories are their legacy, and we want the legacy shared.
And I'm Sandi Marx, and I'm sort of the assistant in the operation. I'm also a storyteller and a coach. And it makes me so happy coming here every week because these people are so fascinating and they have amazing stories.
So we're lucky to have not just Sandi this year, but also Terri Galvin. I worked with her with the Moth Community Program for a number of years.
I'm Terri Galvin, and I'm one of 3 women who are leading this group and helping the seniors here find their stories and develop their stories and polish them in a way that they can share them with the rest of us.
My name is Gail, and I have been living in Warbasse ever since back in the 60s. My calling that I didn't end up staying in, I wanted to get into the art field, specifically cartoon and animation, but it didn't, real life fell on my head, clunk, like an anvil out the window, boing, and I had to get a 9-to-5 job. When I was going to SVA, I majored in illustration and cartoons. And I decided one of my projects was going to be animating Jimmy Cagney. And I don't know, I kind of got this idea from a friend of mine at the time because she was such a big classic movie fan. And she was telling me, you gotta watch, he does all this kind of stuff and all these kind of mannerisms and stuff. I said, well, okay. So in the course of doing this, the Museum of Modern Art in Manhattan showed classic movies in their theater downstairs. And I found out that Yankee Doodle Dandy was going to be shown there. So here I go. I just said, you know what? I'm going to study this guy's motions and stuff so I know what to do when I animate him, because you had to know how things move if you're going to animate something. Okay. So I went down there, and I was waiting online, and this gal in back of me, she says to me, excuse me, do you mind if I get in front of you? So, I look at her and I say, well, what's the matter? You related to Cagney? My smarty-ass Brooklyn accent. And she said to me, well, as a matter of fact, I'm his grandniece. What? And I'm flabbergasted. I'm actually flabbergasted. And she said, well, okay, I'll show you. She pulls out her driver's license. There it is, Melody J. Cagney. I said, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. Well, yeah, come in front of me. But, so we got to yakking and talking about her uncle, her great uncle and such. And it developed into a really nice camaraderie between, because she kind of acted as Jimmy Cagney's liaison. So there were postcards sent back and forth, things, how he's doing, how he's going. And then when I finally finished the film, I gave him a copy of the film, and it got very good reviews, very rave reviews from Mr. Cagney and, anybody else who in the family who was watching it at the time, and they loved it. And the funny thing is, at that year, the funny thing is, Jimmy Cagney had received an award from the American Film Institute for life achievement. And that's the same year I got an award for my cartoon of him. So it was like, like lockstep. It was amazing. It was just an amazing experience and something else that's obviously never forgotten.
Thank you, Gail. My name is Sophie Buchholtz. I'm an outgoing person, so I enjoy this. It's been a wonderful experience. The program itself brings the people together, and you begin to know your neighbors' life stories or their interesting part of their life. I told the story about how I met my husband. I told the story about my lifetime with my grandparents. I told the story about a bird that came to the window, and my father said that was very good luck. It's like reliving my life. I mean, I just told you how old I was, so I have a lot of different things that have happened in my lifetime. It gives me a chance to talk, because, you know, I go upstairs, close the door, there's nobody there, except my daughter calls me twice a day to make sure I'm there. I mean, I have the friends that call and talk, you know, but it's different, you know. I'm going to tell a Coney Island story from 1931 and on, because my grandmother lived in Coney Island. My story starts in 1931, when my grandmother moved from the east side to Coney Island. She loved the water, and she decided this is where she was going to live. And we had wonderful days. We lived in the Bronx, and we lived in the North Bronx. It was a big ride to go to Coney Island. We had to take the IRT and then change for the BMT. It was a 2-hour ride, but we went anyway. And in the summer, we would stay there for a few weeks at a time. And during the day, we would go to the beach, and she taught us all how to swim. Now, the interesting part, there was a very young lady that lived next door to her, and she came from Hungary, and she would never say, "You're coming to the beach." She would come to my grandmother, knock on the door, and she would say, "Kommen Sie, Mrs. Bader?" And of course, I would walk with the two ladies to the beach, which I thought were old ladies. They probably were in their late 50s, early 60s. She had 7 sons, and she said, "I have 7 enemies." She was a delight, and and we used to go to the beach, and we used to swim way out, and then we would float back and talk on the way back, and then we would have a wonderful time. She made me sit in the sand because she said it was healthy to warm your body from the sand. And then we would walk home. And on Tuesday night, we would go to the boardwalk where they had fireworks. And this was the height of the Depression between 1936 maybe and 39. I was already a teenager. And on the boardwalk, they had these dinner clubs. These people would come with their chauffeurs and the footmen, and they would dance on the boardwalk and have dinner. And in my mind, there was one woman that stood out in my mind that I remembered all these years. She had blonde Marcel hair and wore a green satin dress, and they would get up and they would have dinner and they were dancing. That's what Coney Island was like in those days. It was really just wonderful. And I always think back to how well my grandmother really took care of. She didn't take care of us, but she took care of us in her way, in her grandmotherly way. And any holiday was always celebrated with her. Many years later, after I was married, I moved to Bay Ridge because there were no apartments available. I was married in 1947. My grandparents were still alive, and I used to help them. And I think back why I was sent there. And so I was sent there really later on in the years to really look after them the way she looked after us. And we had a wonderful, wonderful relationship. And she died when I was in my 30s, and my grandfather too. They were just wonderful.
Growing up as a teenager on the Lower East Side in the 1950s, there were very few opportunities either to earn money or for other activities. And having parents who were immigrants, they were busy working, and they didn't know either what was available in the community. My cousin and I lived across the hall from each other, second cousin. And to make some money, we both found a job on Clinton Street in a movie theater called the Palestine. I don't know why that name was chosen, but it had a marquee, and it had a very deep lobby. My job and my cousin's job we were required to go inside the lobby, open up the large window case with a key. Inside there were 6 to 8 black and white 8x10 photos and one large poster indicating what movie will be played on Wednesday. And we moved it to the Tuesday, so people would walk by, they would be able to see it. This took time. What did we get from it? Certainly not pay, we found out. But we had the permission of the owner that we can go in and see any movie we wanted at any time. 40 cents was the admission rate. And this was, now, what did the movies do for us? It gave us the inspiration after we left that if it was a war movie, the Americans always seemed to outsmart our enemies. You know, it filled people with patriotic fever. If it were the cowboys and Indians, the cowboys won. But as I got older and I became a teacher, it bothered me, because those movie theaters always made the native Indian look very foolish and the others looked very smart. But as a child, this was what we saw in the movies. It took a little bit longer and older to realize the message perhaps was misplaced. But since then, every movie that I try to leave leaves me with inspiration and a message that, you know, good is better than evil, and right is better than wrong, and honesty is better than being a thief.
Thank you, Sam.
My name is Geraldine Vogel, and they sort of invite you to just tell a story that everybody would, you know, hear and listen to. Happy stories, but some of them, unfortunately, are not happy. So that's what I'm going along with their suggestions.
Yeah, my name is Nadege, Sainte-Ville, Lantigua. I'm an aide for her, like I just come like every day. I have 4, sometimes 5 and 4 days a week with her. But our relationship is more than that, way more. We have something special between us. Yeah, I'm happy to be here with Jerry, and especially for the storytelling. I just love it.
Oh, especially for the storytelling, not for me.
No, that's not
I
true.
told her, I adopted her.
Yeah, I just lost my mom maybe 9 months ago, and yeah, I have a new one. Yeah, she's my mom now. I tell a story the last show, and I think I'm gonna tell another one. Yeah, but that's good. Like you feel sometimes when you're telling the story, like you feel good. If it is you feel good. Sometimes you feel sad. If depend of the story, but that's a nice thing to tell a story. Like people is listening to you. Like to know at least something about you. Yeah, we talk a lot. She know a lot about me, and I know a lot about her. Sometimes like she can tell a story, and I say you forget to say this, or sometimes she tell me the same. You forget to say to say this.
Yeah, my story was like maybe 23 years ago. One day, I was coming from work, going home, and okay, but I'm supposed to walk maybe for 15 minutes from where I'm working to go to take a bus to go home. And I was working, and I hear somebody behind me. Excuse me. I turn, and I see a young man, a tall, like a handsome young man behind me. I said, I say, yeah, oh, what happened? I say, yeah, I just want to say hi. I say, okay. And, okay, how are you? I say, okay, I'm walking, but I don't stop, I'm walking. And he walked behind me, like not behind me, he walked on the side of me, like walking, until I get to the bus stop. And he wait until I get to the bus, and I go home. Okay. The second day, coming from work, at the same time, I see him waiting for me. I said, but what are you doing here? I was waiting for you. Why? You're not happy to see me? I said, I don't know, but why you have to wait for me here? Okay, walking again. He walked me to the bus stop, and they pass every day. 2 weeks pass, And we just talking like that. And one day, he asked me, say, I like you, but do you want to be my girlfriend? I said, but I don't know you. Because we live far away. We don't live close. I don't know nothing about him. I don't know his family. I don't know nothing about. I said, I don't know you. I cannot be your girlfriend. And I say, but yeah, but like for 2 weeks I'm talking to you, and like we talk. I say, okay, but I don't know nothing about you. But I start to maybe like him a little bit. And I have a cousin. I said, I tell my cousin, I explain to him, and I say, do you want to talk to him? Maybe you can maybe tell me if yes or no, I can continue to talk to him. And one day, my cousin meet me at work, and we meet him. Okay, the first day, my cousin don't say nothing to him. But the second day, they talk, but not close to me. They talk by themselves. I'm walking by myself. I don't know what they're talking about. And after my cousin tell me, yeah, I cannot say like he's a good person, but the way he talk is not bad. It's not bad. Okay, we keep continuing, like we came every day. One day I was going to the bus, and when I looked, he was on the bus. He came in on the bus. I said, but where are you going? I'm going home. Where are you going? I want to see where you live. No, you cannot go to my house. Okay, you just can't. He was on the bus. When I get enough of the bus, he get enough, I say, you're going to stop here because I don't want you to know where I live. I don't want that. Stay here. But okay, stay. He didn't go. A second day, he did do the same thing, like go to the bus. I say, yeah, stay here. Go back home. And maybe a day passed, like maybe month, 2 months. And okay, yeah. One day we became girlfriend and boyfriend. And now we have a 20 years old girl and a 14 years old boy, and we are married.
I love to listen to everybody's story. Oh, I like it tremendously. I like to listen to whoever is talking about their family, their children, and what they're doing as children, and how they're supervising them to grow a little better and to have more knowledge of what's in this world. I'm 91. When I was young with my family, we traveled on the train and we came here to Coney Island and we traveled in the water. We traveled and I swam between one wood and the other. I used to go further. Now when this summer comes, I hope to go into Coney Island again. I look forward to that. How far I'll get, I don't know, but I'll try my best. I've been living in this area for many years. Don't ask me how many years. I keep forgetting, and it adds on 1 year to the next. But when I first started here, I was with my family in Williamsburg, and we lived in a Jewish area in Williamsburg continuously. And we used a bus that was like a regular travel bus, and we used it to come to this Coney Island. And we went swimming in there. I was small then, but I started to grow, and we swam deeper and deeper, and we would swim from one bound area to the next. It was a wonderful session for us to be in Coney Island year after year, and it continues here. I hope when it gets warm enough this year, I'll be able to go to Coney Island again and to go swimming, although I am not walking well, but that doesn't mean I can't get up and glide myself in the water and swim in the water.
That's right.
And me, I'm still a child. I enjoy listening to people. I enjoy looking at rides. I really enjoy living with everybody.
So you hear me? I discuss a story about my grandmother. My grandmother prepared moonshining, homemade vodka. She, for fermentation, she put fruits, and when procedure was done, she separated vodka from fruit, and she threw fruit into the backyard. In the backyard was 20 geese. They ate fruits, and after then fell down. They not moved. Grandmother saw they not moved, and she had decision they dead. And she planning in the evening buried them in the evening time. But in the evening time, she was very busy, she tired, and she forget about this. In the morning, she hear sound of gooses. They was hungry, they want eat. And she figured out that yesterday they was simply drunk. That story about geese.
My name is Rose Cohen. In December, it will be 29 years that I've been living in Warbasse. I like the storytelling program. I've told many stories myself, and I still have more to tell, including today. I'm not shy. I've never been shy. And I like telling stories in front of other people, and I like hearing what they have to say, what stories that they tell. It's very difficult now because less than 2 years ago I fell in the house and wound up in Coney Island Hospital for 1 month, and then in the nursing home for rehabilitation for 1 month. Yeah. And now, because of my fall and breaking and getting older, this is it. Well, that's what the program is about, telling stories. So I've traveled a lot, and at the beginning I told a lot of stories about some of the things when I traveled. If they listen and they applaud, I like it.
I started taking piano lessons when I was about 14 and wrote my first song at 16. But the song that I liked the most was written in the late 40s. I heard there was going to be a radio show with Jan Murray, who was a comedian, but he was going to be the host, like Songs for Sale, and I wanted to submit it. I had an interview with him, but that show didn't last too long, and they switched to television with Steve Allen, and I had an interview with him. And he said the song that I had submitted would be good for radio, but not for television because they would have to make a production number out of it. So then I heard there was going to be an amateur show at Lower East Coney Island opposite Nathan's. So I told all my friends to come there on a Tuesday, which had a B movie. Maybe they even gave dishes. When I was backstage, they asked me what I was going to do. And I said, I'm going to sing a song that I wrote. They asked me if it was published. I said, no. Well, it's against regulations. The American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers won't allow it. So I said, what am I going to do? I didn't take any other music with me, sheet music, but I did memorize a song that I wrote, Fearless. Okay. The first prize was $10, the second prize was $5, and the third prize was $3. I won the $3. I couldn't believe it for the simple reason they had comedians, they had other singers, they had dancers. I guess they felt bad because they didn't let me play the song that I really wanted to. Okay. After that, I got a letter from a company out in California that they heard about my song, and I had never submitted it to anybody in California. This was a radio show. So I think that maybe I had an interview at London Records, and they once said that Sylvia Sims, a British singer, would be good for that song. So maybe they submitted it out to California. My boss's brother was one of the head lawyers at CBS, and I spoke to him. What should I do? I don't know if they give me money, royalties, or what. He dictated a legal letter that they must have thought when they got it that I'm a lawyer, and they just never answered me. So that's the story about my song. Now, I can't sing, but this is the song, the words, if you're interested. Yeah. It's called A Day to Remember, a day I'll never forget. That was the day luck came my way. That was the day we met. A day to remember, and darling, how will I do? I used to pray there'd come a day I'd meet a guy like you. I still can't believe it. I'm no longer alone. It's hard to conceive it, that you're really my own. A day to remember, to live in my memory. I'd like to say thanks for the day you came along to me.
We've heard from a couple of people that, a number of people in this facility live alone, and coming down here really makes them feel like they're part of a community. And the stories themselves, and sharing those stories, and being around others who not just are willing to listen, but are hungry to listen. As one person keeps saying, it's like you bring life to this place. And really, we just allow life because the life is within them.